Regular school board meeting of the Madison Central School District on Monday, January 8th. We can record members present or absent. Mr. Farrow is joining us via FaceTime, and we do have a quorum, so we can move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So item number 5 is the approval of the agenda, and there is one addition under personnel actions regarding the resignation of Mr. Heggie. So that would be the only change to the agenda, and I believe Mr. Jorgensen will speak more on that when we do get there. That would be the one addition. As I understand it, it was correct when it was printed in the paper, but it was missing that one item when it went out to us. So I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is with that one addition under personnel actions.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hanamichael. Any discussion? Further questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 6 is the approval of consent agenda items 7 through 9. That would be the approval of the minutes for the December 11th meeting. Approval of bills. Mrs. Schultz, Mrs. Cecil, and Mr. Miller reviewed those. Was there any comments or questions or items from any of you on that? No? Okay. Obviously our financials and then the personnel actions, number 9. Want to speak to those?
Sure. I request to hire Brian Nolan, replace Dale Vida, as elementary custodian for $12 per hour plus a 50-cent night differential, effective 12/15. Mr. Leader's employment end is 11/28. Resignation of Mr. Heggie at the end of the year for high school social science and coaching duties, and again, that's effective at the end of the 2017-2018 school year. And then some contract changes. Mr. Konitsky dropped middle school football, 16-20. Stephen Gore's added to middle school football at that same amount. And Katie Abraham made a lane change from Masters 15, plus 15, excuse me, to Masters plus 30. So went from 47,675 to 48,077.
That is everything for the consent agenda items 7 through 9. Is there a motion to approve those? So moved by Mrs. Cecil. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schultz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. And item number 10 is the hearing of delegations and written communications. I don't believe anyone is here to address us at this time, so we would go on to number 11, administrator reports. And the middle school report from Dr. Cook was attached, just with some pictures and content this time, no videos that I remember seeing. Mr. Jorgensen.
Just a few items. We had the chamber had a legislative meeting last Wednesday on the 3rd. Our District 8 legislators were here. Just asked for some clarification at the time that the $10 million that keeps being brought up for as an increased education was actually just to cover the students that they didn't budget for last year, along with additional students this year. So, and they were in agreement from the state side. Yep, it's $10 million on their budget. From the school district side, it doesn't change the formula as far as the dollar amount. It's just that per student amount. And again, because they under budgeted the number of kids they thought we'd have this year. And for many, many years, they over budgeted the number of kids. And then at the end of the year, that got rolled back into the general fund because there was always extra. This year, they didn't budget or didn't anticipate for as many students as there were in an increase. So, and they were in agreement with that perspective of it. High school auditorium, we got the new system in to run the lights. Seems to be working well. I know Mr. Millage and Mr. Forster and Mr. Biersbach have been working with it, and I think they've been playing with it, but they say working with it. But it works pretty. It's a very nice setup. So it's all done on the computer now digitally.
Yep.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's easy
Yep.
to save and back up, and so it should be good to go. Talent Ed is a company we're going to have help us develop an online application process moving forward here. It will be about 30 to 60 days before we have it up and going, but all of our applications for teaching positions, administrative positions, and so on will be online versus paper trails and trying to get it to the principals. Once it comes in, they'll have instant access once a completed resume is there. It's not going to look like Talent Ed. It's going to look like Madison Bulldog. All the forms we put in, everything's going to be tailored to how we want it to look. It's going to be from our own site. Dr. Cook talked about the EPSCoR grant. The middle school received one, $9,396.95 for implementation, expanding the foundation of programming using code projects. I believe on Dr. Cook's report it showed there was some robots basically that would be used in Crew's class. Last couple of things, legislative session starts tomorrow, 38-day session, a couple important dates. Crossover day is February 23rd. That's the day when the bill has to go from one house to the other house. Otherwise, the bill will die. So on the 23rd, there'll be no new legislation after that point. March 6th, bills will need to be passed by both sides to be effective, to be put into effect, except for the general fund bill, which is always the last day pretty much. So the final day of the legislative session is March 9th. And then the veto day would be March 26th. So these dates we'll watch. And lastly, in February, we plan to meet over in the elementary school tentatively. We believe the bathroom for the special ed area will be done. If it isn't done, they're going to pour cement in there tomorrow, I believe. Then we'll slide that back. And then we would do the middle school one not in March because that's parent-teacher conference that night. So we do that in April. So tentatively, we'll be at the elementary building next meeting. If that changes, then we'll probably slide the middle school tour in, and then the elementary will have to be in the April meeting. So that's all I have.
Mr. Brooks, did you have anything? Mr. Farrow, did you have anything?
The only thing that I have is if any of the board members are interested, ASBSD has their legislative day in Pierre on Tuesday, February 20th. I will be out for our board meeting on Monday the 19th, but that's when school boards across the state come in, or school board members from across the state come in. We have lunch with our legislators. We'll be inviting them to a luncheon that we will be hosting them at, and then in the afternoon we go to both of the chambers and recognize both the outstanding school board and the outstanding school board member from South Dakota. So if you are so inclined, that would be something that we would want to be, I will be there if others want to join, certainly something to think about. Also, not this Saturday, 2 Saturdays from last week, I'll be doing our land training again, and so maybe asking you to send some email and giving information to our legislative group as things develop legislatively also.
Okay. So that was Tuesday, February 21st in Pierre. The ASBSD legislative.
21st? Yeah.
20th or 21st?
Whatever, I checked the Tuesday. It's Tuesday
20th.
20th.
20th. All right, I think it looks like that's everything for the administrator report, so we'll move on to item number 12, which is discuss the 2018-2019 district calendar. I believe you.
Yep, just wanted to touch base on it. We've just done some preliminary work is all. We'll bring more to you next month, obviously, but we're looking at, right now is pretty much a clone to this year that we'll propose and take input to see if there's other thoughts. There may be a couple different changes as far as when the actual half-day in-service is, whether or not we'll go to West Central here on the 15th to make sure that that's still going to be going next year, so that's in limbo too. I believe it will, but I don't know what the date is on that. But right now, we've talked a little bit on it, and we just feel the calendar has been good this year, so right now what we're looking at is not a lot of changes from this year's calendar. So, thoughts?
I think that comes back to us when you guys have the more
We'll bring it, we'll have it linked but a couple of these dates we just don't know yet because of, we need to get confirmation, so. So yeah, I would plan on, we have a link next month to look at and
Okay.
talk about.
Does
Yeah.
anybody else have anything? Item number 13 is established April 10th, 2018 as the annual school district election date to be combined with the city of Madison's election. And I think Steve has up there, kind of the election calendar, shows whose terms are coming up for renewal. That would be Steve Nelson's and myself. We will be completing a 3-year term, and then Lori Schultz will be completing her 1-year term. Stand-in assignment from Mr. Moore's absence. So that also just kind of lays out the dates. Do you guys have anything else, Mr. Brooks? you want to share?
It's mostly just information, because the motion is just to set the date, to combine with the school, but it's always nice to see the process.
Right.
So if the date is April 10th, with the city election, those would be the calendar dates that would end up play. Is there a motion to approve April 10th, 2018 for annual school district election? So moved by Mr. Hanamichael. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Cecil. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 14 is consider the resolution for the opt-out. The verbiage was attached in the link.
So this would be the verbiage that we used last time, when we did our opt-out. Pretty much the same, except for we changed the dates. The dollar amount is the same, or, looking to see the same, if everyone's okay with that. We would ask for what we need, in the last few years, we haven't asked to pull our 250,000. We've asked like 100,000 the prior year. So we've tried to continue that in place, asking only what we need. But looking for another 4 years, kind of just more discussions and requirements that seem to be, we've done in the past, seem to be good, acceptable. And then also with this would be passed by the board. If the voters wanted to refer it, they would need 5% of the registered voters in our district to do that. So that's still the process that is leaning towards. Any questions on this?
If there's no questions, I would entertain a motion to consider the resolution verbiage that we saw in front of us for the opt-out.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Schultz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Any discussion?
If I could, President Sims, could I just talk for a couple seconds on this?
Absolutely.
I think that this is something that we definitely need to be sure that we pass. And the biggest point is the fact that we're not asking for anything different. We're asking simply for a continuation of what our opt-out dollars have been in the past. And as Mr. Brooks indicated, if we don't need those dollars, we certainly won't be asking for them, even though we could be eligible for those as a part of the opt-out. But I think all we have to look at is what at least the projections are for what the state is going to provide for us. And it appears like there may be a need to shift more of what those state dollars have been, maybe back to a little more of us on the local side, the local burden and things. So I think it's a good piece that we're going to be passing. And last time we did not refer it directly to the voters, and it was not referred. So I think it makes very good sense at this point in time to leave it up to the voters if they would like to refer this to get their 5%, and then that vote would occur at the same time that we have our election of board members for the district.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All in
I'd
favor?
like to call for a roll call vote if we could.
Okay. Sure.
I'll call out last name, indicate with a yes or no.
Okay.
Steve Nelson absent. Miller,
Yes. Yes.
Sims,
Yes.
Cecil,
Yes.
Hanamichael,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Item number 15 is executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, Section 1 for personnel matters. We will probably be taking action after this, just so you guys know, as you head out, but otherwise I'm looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So,
So moved by Mrs. Schultz, is there a second? Back out of executive session and moving on to item number 16, which is consider early retirement requests. The motion to accept early retirement resignations of Mrs. Lori Macheski, Mrs. Ardana Bruns, Mrs. Kathy Downs, Mrs. Jenny Freitag, and Mr. Bud Postma in accordance with requests qualifying them for the Madison Central School District Early Retirement Agreement effective at the end of the 2017-2018 school year contract. I'd be looking for a motion for that.
I would make the motion.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Farrell, seconded by Mr. Hanmichael.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. And item number, or any discussion? Yeah, sorry. I saw German and I thought, wow. Okay, I am looking for any discussion on that motion.
I guess the only thing is to be sure that we all extend a big thank you for the services that those folks have rendered to our district, to our students, and to our patrons.
A lot of years here. Very good. All in favor of considering the early retirement request signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, item number 17 now is adjournment of the regular meeting. Looking for a motion
So
on
moved.
that. So moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Schultz. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?